everyone. I just wanted to share with you today a little story about the time I got schooled by a Bangladeshi monk, but learned a very important lesson about the value of keeping things simple and not making them so complex, which a lot of people have a tendency to do. So this was a long time ago. It was probably 13, 14 years ago. I was even longer, actually. God, I'm so old. I was living in Korea, and I've been going through some really huge personal challenges, and I decided that something I was going to do to kind of reset and really reconnect with myself was I was going to go to this monastery and do a 3-day retreat. Now, all the information for this monastery was in Korean, which I could not read, and had I been able to read it, I may have not done this, but I'm glad I did. So I get there anticipating a couple days of, a little bit of R&R, some meditations and things like that. I know I was very dumb. I was very, very naive, but I show up, and of course it's not that at all. I have this like straw mat in this tiny room to sleep on. There's no pillow. I get one thin blanket. We're in the mountains of Korea. It's snowing. It's freezing cold. And we meditate every 4 hours around the clock, right? So every 4 hours, this huge gong goes, and we would get up and we would walk through the snow to the temple, and we would do some chanting, and then we would go inside to the meditation hall, which was at least warmer, and we would sit on these pillows and we would meditate. And so because I am a type A asshole, I go into this like, I'm gonna be the perfect meditator. Oh my God, I'm gonna, yes, I'm gonna nail this. I'm gonna achieve enlightenment. I'm gonna nirvana, here I come. And of course that doesn't happen. And I'm super hungry, first of all, because all there is to eat is like broth and tea. And I was like a really chubby white girl who was eating a lot more food than that. So I'm hungry, and I'm focused on my hunger all the time. I'm not sleeping well because I'm on like the hard floor in this mat. So I'm cranky and I'm hungry. And this is the mindset I'm coming into the meditation with. So I sit in the meditation, and actually the first couple sessions, I don't know if I was in shock or if I was exhausted or what, but they were actually pretty good. I was able to achieve some stillness in my mind, which was quite surprising. But by about the third session, so very early on in this experience, my left knee, which I've always had problems with since I tore a hamstring when I was younger, when I was dancing, my left knee starts aching within minutes of sitting on the pillow. And the more I try to, transmute the pain, or like go beyond the pain, or leave my physical sensations behind, the more my knee starts to throb, until I'm probably 10 minutes into the meditation, and all I can think about is how much my knee hurts. And this happens every other meditation session that we have, and I'm miserable. Then I'm spending all the time in between the meditation sessions thinking about how much my leg is going to hurt when I go to meditate. So you see where it goes, right? So on the last day, we get to have tea with one of the monks one-on-one, because we weren't speaking to them during this experience at all. They were lovely. And I was really scared because there was this monk I think he was from Russia, and he was like super intense and quite terrifying. And I was like, oh, I'm not having tea with him. Then there was this monk from Bangladesh who had just like this huge, joyful smile. I was like, I hope I get that guy. And sure enough, I did. So I get the happy monk. So I'm chuffed. So we go in, and I'm acting like a complete idiot, and I'm like I'm trying to be all formal in ceremony, and he's pouring the tea, and he's explaining to me how he does it, and he's looking at me, and he's laughing out loud at me because he's very amused by my behavior. This puts me at ease, and I start laughing, and then, we drink our tea, and he says, do you have any questions? And I'm like, well, actually I do, sir, I think is what I called him, which is, this is such an embarrassing story in some ways. But I said to him, when I sit on the mat, my knee hurts. And I try and I try and I try to go beyond the pain and to leave my body and to, and I'm explaining this, and I'm like making these gestures, and he's just sitting there watching me, and I can see this like smirk at the corner of his mouth. And then eventually I stop talking, and I go, and what I want to know is, if your leg was hurting like that while you were meditating, like, what do you do? How would you deal with that pain? And he looks at me, and he takes a sip of tea, and he goes, I would move my leg. And then he bursts out laughing. Then I burst out laughing, because that hadn't even occurred to me. I was so caught up in having to be the perfect meditator that I didn't know if I was allowed to move my leg. I don't know what I thought they would do if I moved my leg. Tie me together or something? No, obviously not. But I was so scared of looking stupid that I made this entire experience completely miserable. And the story ends with later that day, as the bus comes to pick us all up and we get ready to leave, and we're standing out in the driveway and all the monks have come out to say farewell, and we're walking down the line and acknowledging one another. And then there's this golden retriever that belonged to the monastery. And as I'd been walking around the property during this thing, this dog had become attached to me, and I'd loved it because I was missing my golden retriever who was back in Canada. And as I'm saying goodbye to these monks, as I come face to face with the scary one, the dog runs over to me and starts vigorously, with great enthusiasm, humping my leg. And I'm just like, and I don't know what to do. And I look up, and the Bangladeshi monk's standing next to him, and he just looks at me and goes, remember, you can always move your leg.